let us just remember that even just contemplating the existence of one life, one mind, one light, can illuminate our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. Let's take a deep breath in together. Exhale first, let it out. And take a deep breath in. And let it go. Another deep breath in. And let it go. One more together, deep breath. And let it go. And I'm going to invite us to just sit in the stillness for just a brief moment together. And together, let's breathe in again. And let go. As I say again, good morning, beloved community. If you don't know me, I'm Reverend Elisha Christopher. I am the spiritual director here at the Center for Spiritual Living. I do use they and them pronouns. My ancestors come from all over the world and indigenous to this country originally, some of them, and those who immigrated here we know came from Austria, Holland, Scotland, and Ireland. There's a lot to breathe about these days. This month, our theme across Centers for Spiritual Living is Rolling in the Deep. And for me, this has really been an invitation to drop ever deeper into my anchoring in spiritual practice and in really finding for myself that in these incredibly chaotic and uncertain times, where there is so much needed of us, there is so much being called forth from us, and there's so much to do, and so much that needs our attention. And the only way we can truly give our attention to it is to come from a deeper, still place of power. There is so much available to take our attention away from the center space where it belongs. And this month, this rolling in the deep just keeps bringing me back to the power of breath, of meditation, and spiritual practice. Because that has to be our starting place. It has to be our ending place. It has to be the center place. It has to be the thing that surrounds it all. Because if we are not walking in the world in a place of high consciousness, then we're being dragged down into the affairs and the swamp and the muck and the mire and the confusion and the fear. And we have got to learn to rise above what is happening and keep our heads and our minds in a higher place. Because if we don't, we're going to be consumed. And it's interesting, I've been talking to a lot of people recently, and I've heard a number of folks, even in this community, who've been experiencing a lot of dizziness recently. Has anyone been experiencing that? I know a number of folks have mentioned. Look at just the amount of people in the room who are saying, yes, I've been feeling some kind of dizziness. It's because we're being disoriented, right? Our center of gravity is being moved. And at the very same time, it turns out that the planet is speeding up. Have you heard this? So Earth scientists who study how the planet spins, I don't know what those people are called, have registered this thing recently that the planet's orbit, its rotation, has actually sped up by about 1.6 milliseconds in a rotation. This has never happened before. Since time when we started measuring the spin of the planet, it has been completely stable, and there is nothing that we could imagine that would cause it to speed up or slow down. And yet, they're telling us that the planet is quite literally speeding up. They say it could have something to do with melting ice, redistributing water around the planet, and the spin is causing that water to spin a little faster. And so for the first time in recorded history, coming up sometime soon, they're going to have to add a reverse leap second to our calendars to keep them on time. Which is a very interesting thing. I don't know what it means, but I find it very interesting. Because what it tells me is that we may have this sense that there's this quickening happening, that things are rising up, that things are shifting, that things are changing, that the change is happening faster, and it turns out the planet is literally speeding up. Which means time is actually speeding up. Right? And at the same time, the same geoscientist people are telling us that there's some sort of pulse, some sort of measurement, some sort of sound that's coming from the very center of the earth that they've never heard before. And they think maybe some crystals deep in the earth outside the magma layer are shifting in some way. Something is up. Something is happening. And could it be that all this shifting and changing beneath the surface, all this speeding up of the energy is causing all the chaos and all the movement and all the things that are happening on the surface? Or maybe all the things that are happening on the surface are causing something to brew and shift and change on the inside. I'm not talking about the planet anymore. I'm talking about each one of us. I'm talking about our collective consciousness, about our nation, about our world. Something is changing. And either something is changing on the inside that's causing things to change on the outside, or something's changing on the outside that's causing things to change on the inside, or it's all one thing, and something is happening. We are being invited into truly unprecedented times. We are being called forth into perhaps a transformation, perhaps an evolution, perhaps a leap in consciousness. The thing that I know from the history of evolution, from the history of life on this planet, is that evolution is this thing that keeps happening. And it keeps happening, and it keeps happening. And every time some sort of crisis shows up where things get really troubled and things really seem to not work and things get really chaotic, suddenly a great leap of evolution takes place. And a whole new paradigm, a whole new way of being, a whole new way of addressing the issues, a whole new way of existing rises up from the conditions that were happening before. So what if that's our lesson? What if we are to be aware right now that all the things that are rising up, all the things that seem to be not working, all the things that are speeding up, all the things that are shifting and changing are waking something up from within us? We are being invited to rise into a new level of doing, a new way of being. And part of that has got to be each one of us figuring out how to do it for ourselves, to focus more on the inside than we do on the outside. And I don't mean don't look at all the things that are happening, don't show up, don't participate. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the cause comes from within. The cause comes from thoughts. The cause comes from the internal process, and then that is what creates what happens on the outside. If the cause is on the inside and the effect is on the outside, we can't fix it on the outside. We have to fix it on the inside. And that's not just of the inside of the individual, it's the inside of our collective. Right? We all know that thoughts create, that individuals have the capacity to create and to manifest and participate in this beautiful thing called life. And what I know is that collective consciousness is also creating. That the consciousness of generations is creating. That we are participating in this great swirl of creation. And we are at a critical moment of invitation. Y'all, my breath is taken away almost every day when I hear the things that are coming out of our government, when the choices that are being made. We are building concentration camps in the United States. We are rounding up American citizens. We aren't, they are. But this is happening in our nation. This is happening on our watch. And we cannot stand here each and every week and claim that we stand for a world that works for everyone. We stand for a world of inclusion. We stand for a world of love and then not act upon it. We have got to take our beliefs, our core center, the truth of who we are, and find a way to live it and walk it and love it in the world in whole new ways. And one of those ways there is a day of protest coming up. This coming Thursday is the day of good trouble in honor of our beloved John Lewis. Thursday, July 17th from 4 to 6. There's going to be protests all over the nation and here in Santa Cruz. You can register through our website, through our e-news, and also through Indivisible Santa Cruz. If you want to get out this week and be part of the collective consciousness, part of the collective uprising, part of the collective stance for something more, there's an opportunity for us to get out and participate in the more of us. Because what do we know? We've been talking about this for a while now. When we get out into the streets, when the population begins to say no to what is happening, when we rise up, we get that critical mass, and we maintain that energy, we can shift what is happening. We have power. We have to exercise it. We have to act upon it. And at the same time, we have to step into this situation more grounded than we have ever been before. Because it's really easy to want to go out and fight and shout and push against all that is happening. What we need to do is come together and rise up as a wave of consciousness and love and possibility and realize that we are bringing something forward. We are becoming part of a shifting wave that is saying no to what is happening, but at the same time, we're saying yes to a vision of who it is that we truly want to be as a nation and as a people. And I've said this 1,000 times before, but all that is rising up, all that is happening in this nation that many of us see and say, I do not want this, it's giving us the absolute clarity of what we really do want. I've said many times before, I believe we are in what I like to call the proving times, where the universe is proving to us what we believe, and we have the opportunity to prove to ourselves what is valuable and what is true to us. And every day, life is giving an opportunity to say, what do you really want? What kind of nation do you really want to live in? What kind of people do you truly want to be? And what are we doing with this invitation? Because if we think that this current administration is going to stop with immigrants once they've rounded everyone up and shipped them off or caged them up, and then we're all just going to carry on, I don't think so. We've all heard the poem, they came for this group of people, and I did nothing. And then they came for these folks, and I did nothing. And then they came for these folks, and I did nothing. And then they came for me, and there was no one left. We're in the first line or two of that poem at the moment. So what do? We know where this goes if we do nothing. We know where this goes if we don't stand up. But we have to. We have got to find a way to live into what we believe is possible. And sometimes, my friends, I tell you, I feel completely powerless about what to do about what is happening in this country. We all do. And at the same time, I remember that there is something within me that is greater than anything outside of me. And so it brings me back to my spiritual practice. It brings me back to my prayer. It brings me back to my belief, my true, deep, powerful belief in oneness and the power of love. because that is the place that we must walk this walk from. We cannot step out and meet hate with hate. All we do is create more hate. We can't go out with anger at the anger. We create more anger. We have to find a way to meet it with love, to meet it with peace, to meet it with silence, to meet it with prayer. Because what we bring forth, we create more of. And in many ways, we've all been taught to just amplify the problem by pushing against it more. But we know that anything we push against, in a sense, we give power to. We've all heard that phrase, what you resist persists. But we've also looked at this from the other side. Remember that resistance also creates persistence. That when we are the thing, when our beliefs, when our love, when our values are being resisted and pushed against, it's the opportunity for us to claim them even stronger, for us to live into them even more. Because what I know is that if what resists persists and love is being resisted, then love will persist. And so I've been having this idea in mind that all of this pressure, all of this hatred, all of this seeming inhumanity that's happening in the world is pushing on love and compassion. It's resisting it. It's creating pressure. And I know that if you want to build muscle in the human body, you need some resistance. You need something heavy. You need something to weigh it down. And the more you lift it up, the stronger you get. So what if all of the appearance of evil in the world, the appearance of the lack of love, the appearance of the inhumanity, the hatred, and all the things that we see, what if that is the pressure that we are being given to exercise our muscle of love? And it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier, which means it's making us stronger and stronger and stronger. Right? Because I think for at least the last couple decades, and especially in a lot of the communities that I've participated in, we've all been about the love, kind of in a weak sort of way. But now we're being tested. That love is being forged into something more powerful, into something stronger, and into something that cannot be put out. Right? And one of my teachers many years ago gave this beautiful analogy that, in Science of Mind, we talk about this idea that God is all there is, that there is only love. And there's nothing outside of that. And my teacher, Dr. Kim Kaiser, said, there's no force for cold in the universe. There is only the presence or absence of heat. So what if there is no force for evil in the world, but there is only the presence or absence of love? And in places and people where the love can't get in, we have the seeming appearance of the opposite of that. And in a way that is reminding me that I have to exercise a power for love greater than I have ever known. That each one of us has to be called to cultivate a love greater than we've ever felt we might have had the capacity for. Because we have to learn to love those who hate us. There was a guy a couple thousand years ago who said that, and it was hard then, it's hard now. Love those who would hurt you. Pray for those who will harm you. That's a high calling, my friends. But what happens is that if we can exercise the capacity for love and grow our hearts, grow our ability to love the unlovable, we put love in places where it could never have been found before. And that love will cause little cracks. That love will break down. Anytime you bring heat into a cold place, what happens is it starts to warm up. And no matter how frozen something is, you give it that love, you give it that energy, and the temperature changes. And the thing we know about heat is that heat is just a measurement of moving particles. So it turns out, in order to unfreeze all this evil, we've got to create a movement. We have to move a whole lot. We've got to create a new vibration. We have to create an energy that can cook this thing in a whole new way. Because what I know is that ice cannot exist in the presence of the heat of this movement. You hear what I just said? So we got to melt the ice, if you will. Because it's freezing all sorts of stuff, like our freedom. So we got to raise the temperature. And that's going to take each one of us not only getting out and marching in the street and showing up, but getting that heat deep inside of us. And finding that power, that presence for love, that something more that is always calling us is ready to be awakened. And that little spark of divinity within each one of us, when we tend to it, when we sit with it, when we give it our life force and our breath, that little spark can catch. And that little spark can become a flame. That little flame can become a fire. And that fire can take and go. And so let us remember that no matter how cold it seems to be out there, that little spark within each one of us is ours to tend to. And that if each one of us and every one of us can light that little fire of love within ourselves and cultivate it and tend it and carry it, we start to shine together. We know that there's not enough darkness in the world to put out the light of one small candle. And when you bring all those candles together, you can light up the night. And so I want to encourage all of us to really deepen into whatever it is that connects you with that love, with that infinite source and that light. Whatever it is that keeps that spark within you going, tune into it, commit to it. Each and every day, whether it's through your spiritual study, whether it's through your practice of meditation or your time in nature, whatever it is. But right now, I think there's a call for each one of us to deepen into whatever our deepest practices are. And I know for myself, for the last number of months, I've been a little untethered. And it's been a little difficult to find the center, to connect to that space and keep it. And so a number of weeks ago, I was having a hard time meditating. I don't know if you've ever been there. A little too much going on. And so I started to walk my neighborhood, and it just so happens we live in the Redwoods, up, on the way to Scotts Valley. And I started walking our neighborhood just to get out and be in the movement of moving my body and being with the trees and getting into the stillness. And the funny thing about developing a practice is when I first started walking our street, it's a little steady hill that kind of goes up like this. I'd walk for about 20 minutes the first couple times and went, well, that's enough, and turned around and went home. And then the next time I tried to push it a little bit further and go a little farther. And then about into the second week, it was like, how long to the top of this hill? Push it a little further. And then now I'm a few weeks into this practice, and suddenly I leave and I'm home again before I realized it. And suddenly it's that my day is starting to spiral around my walk. And it turns out I'm walking 3 miles a day in the Redwoods, which is shifting something in me. And then when I realized that this has become the sort of axis of my practice, that one thing that I look forward to, that one thing that grounds me, I decided, you know what? I'm going to sit and meditate for about 5 or 10 minutes before I leave on my walk. And then I make a green smoothie when I get back. And this habit has begun to form. This routine has begun to build. And so now each day I sit and I pray for a few minutes and I go for a walk. And it turns out Ernest Holmes said, treat and move your feet. So that's what I'm doing. I pray and then I walk. And so for each one of us, we need to build that practice whatever it is for you that becomes that center point of your existence, that thing that your whole day spirals around. And Michael Beckwith has always said that discipline becomes blisscipline. You commit to the thing, and it's a little bit hard when you start. It's like, God, this walk up this hill is really uphill. And then suddenly it becomes a joy, right? And so whether it's your meditation, whether it's your morning chanting or your walk or your reading, your spiritual study, or having that prayer partner or whatever it is that you do to ground yourself, just commit to it. Like right now, can you just do that? Yes, I'm going to commit to whatever the thing is and do it.
Yes.
Because if we're going to go out and march in the streets on Thursday, I want to know that this group of people is showing up grounded and centered and filled with love. Because you only need a small percentage of a population to show up with a certain consciousness for that consciousness to spread. And so I want to invite us to be the peacemakers, to be those who walk in love, who sit in silence, who bring our prayer as we march. Because we can create an atmosphere of consciousness. We know how to do it. We do it here every week. You feel it when we're together. We want to bring this out there. So we're going to breathe a lot. We're going to keep breathing. So take a breath. And if it's comfortable for you, even take a moment to close your eyes. And I want to invite each one of us to just imagine for a moment, maybe even placing a hand on your heart. And imagine that you can feel the heat of love that radiates from that heart center. Feel the heartbeat. What I know is that there is only one life and one love, and it is beating every heart. And as it turns out, the magnetic field of each one of our hearts goes out something like 20 feet in every direction. And when you put magnetic things next to each other, the field gets bigger. So let's take a moment and just imagine this field of love that we are sitting in right now. For we are in the overlap of each other's consciousness. We are in the overlap of each other's love. And so just take a moment and imagine that we can feel the atmosphere of this place, the atmosphere of this love, the atmosphere of this community. Feel it heating us. Feel the heat of that love radiating out of our bodies. And imagine for a moment that if each one of our magnetic field goes out in 20 feet in every direction, imagine how big the field of this group is right now. And let's know that we are a magnetic resonant force. And that we can bring this and distribute it out into the world everywhere we go. And dance a little bit. So take a deep breath in. And let's breathe. Let's drop in a little deeper together. Feel this resonance, this energy. And I'm going to claim right here and right now that there is only one power in this universe, and that power is love. That the one life, that the one mind is truly available to everyone and everything. But I claim in this moment that we also must be open to be a channel, to be an expression, to be an avenue for that love. And so let us recognize right here and right now that each one of us is here in this world, in this moment, to bring that heat, that power, that presence, that light, that spark of divinity out from within us and into the world. That as we walk as the peacemakers, as we walk with forgiveness, as we walk with love, we awaken something not only within ourselves, but we awaken something within each other. And that as we awaken a force for love, a power for good, as we choose to each one of us become an avenue to unleash that love and that power for good into the world, we become, each one of us, a place of healing. Each one of us has the capacity to bring that love and that light even into the most frozen places. And so let us know together that something is emerging, that something is waking us up, and that for whatever reason, each one of us came here in this world to be here right now. I tell you, my friends, we came here for this. This is not happening to us. We signed up to be here in this world right now. What if each one of us truly has a purpose? What if each one of us was actually sent here by the love of the universe? What if each one of us was sent here by God? What if each one of us was sent here brought forth by the earth herself, because we are needed in this moment? We are part of the evolutionary force that is bringing something new, and there is pressure. There is something pushing down on us, but what I know is that pushing down, that pressure, that resistance is making us stronger. It's making that love light shine a little bit brighter. It's making us flex our love muscles so that we can become a new strength, a new power, a new way of being. And so I know and I claim and declare for each person here that each one of us is here in this room because we are here on purpose, with purpose, and for a purpose. That this love that we cultivate in this space is not just for us, it's for us to absorb, to remember, to be reminded of, and then to walk it out into the world, to share it with every single person we meet, to let the love of God shine through our eyes and speak through our words and act and walk through our feet and our hands. We are here to be the presence of love. We are here to be the agents of change. We are here to be the voices that say no to all that no longer serves and does not belong here, and to say yes to all that is calling us and all that is good and all that is beautiful. We are here for creation. We are here for life. We are here for each other. And so let us just take this opportunity to be grateful. To be grateful for this truth that is waking up within us. To be grateful for this beloved community that holds us. To perhaps even be grateful for this very moment that is calling something from within us that we never would have asked for, but here it is. And because of this, because of everything that is coming our way, we are choosing something new. We are choosing a new path. We are creating a new way forward. And I know that in some version of reality on the other side of all of this, there is something beautiful that we could not have conceived of. Things we would have never imagined. Possibilities we could have never believed were exist are on the horizon right now. Because of everything that is happening, we are being transformed. And a new day, a new dawn, a new dream is being born. And so let us just surrender to this very moment, allowing ourselves to be breathed, to remember that it is not us who is breathing our bodies, it is not me who is beating my heart, it is the something more. It is that power that is greater than I am. It is that love that is eternal. It is that one that is infinite, that is speaking these words, that is hearing these words. It is that one who is breathing each one of these bodies. It is that one who is beating every human heart. And so I speak a word that spark of divinity, that love, it exists everywhere. And it can be awakened, that even the hardest hearts can be opened. And So we open our hearts. We ignite the fire. And we let it go. And so let us breathe and release. Let's breathe in and release. One more together. Breath in and let go. And if we are in agreement, let's anchor these words together by saying, and so it is. Thank you, my friends.